Welcome to Troo Talk, the podcast that unravels the world of business energy with engaging conversations with industry experts. I'm your host, Hannah. In this episode, we'll be delving into the intricate world of multi-purchase products and the effects that multi-purchase implementation can have on a business. I am joined today by George Etherington from Empower Business Solutions, powered by E.ON. Together, we'll be navigating you through the complexities of multi-purchase tariffs. Join us as we'll explore the advantages and disadvantages of multi-purchase contracts. Multi-purchase products can help you broaden your energy sources and optimise procurement and ultimately cut down your operational expenses. Thank you, George, for coming on to the podcast today.
No, thanks for having me.
I'm just going to dive right in and just ask you if you can tell us, what is multi-purchase?
Yeah, so MultiPurchase is Empower's simplified flex product. It's aimed at middle market customers who traditionally would be too small for a fully flexible option. So this gives them an alternative version to their normal fixed kind of standard style contract that they would look for on lower volumes. So we started from around about 0.5 gig, and it just gives them a different option for those looking for it in the traditionally fixed market.
What are the key advantages associated with multi-purchase?
Yeah, so a lot of them are similar to any flex contract that you would get, apart from it's a much more simplified version. So you can start it, like I say, from 0.5 gig, where traditional flex, you would need around about a minimum 5 gig size sort of portfolio to get into that sort of product. And also it gives you much more control around your budget. So traditionally with your fixed contracts, you fix in, that's your price. But with multi-purchase, it allows you a bit of the best of both. So you can fix in your traditional non-commodity style costs into your contract like you would with a fixed, but it allows you to then work the market and try and take advantage of those drops in the market. And trade your volume separately as you go with your contract to try and make some real good savings within there. The key advantages are it gives a level of control back to the business and the customer of managing their energy costs. So unlike a traditional fixed contract, you can kind of sit in the middle where you can fix in a lot of your non-commodity elements. So it still gives that level of budget certainty, but then it leaves your commodity, your energy, open for you to trade against the live market. And ultimately then the price you pay will depend on how you trade that energy. So ultimately, unlike your fixed contract, where you lock in and that's your price, you can try and take advantage of downward moves in the market throughout the year, throughout the life cycle of your contract, to try and make some real cost savings in there. And you don't lose any of the advantages of a fixed contract because, you, like I say, you can fix your non-commodity. We can still make it green for you in terms of the energy that you have, and you can still secure a long-term contract if that's your preference. It just gives a level of budget control back to the customer, as well as mitigating a lot of the risk around the complexities of a full flex contract. And that's what it's all about. It's for those customers that have looked at fixed contracts and have done fixed contracts for years, but given the way the market is, are looking for something a little bit different, but don't have that level of portfolio that would suit a full flexible contract. This gives them a little bit of both, and it gives them something else to look at and something to get closer to those energy costs and try and manage them better.
Yeah. I kind of want to hear some examples of multi-purchase implementation. Do you have any examples that you could give us?
We've got, so it's a long-standing product, multi-purchases, and it's tried and tested. So without specific customer examples, it makes up probably about 40% of what we do now, and it's been the most standout product for Empower this year. Given the volatility that we've seen in the market and what happened last year, those people that year after year pick a fixed contract, lock in the price, and that's them. They're thinking outside of that. How can I save money given the way costs on energy and things have gone? So it was highly successful from E.ON, and then when E.ON and Empower came together, it was brought across as the new flagship product within our mid-market area, particularly against those traditional fixed contracts, like I say, looking for something different. I suppose the real testimonial that we have to multi-purchase in our industry or in our business is once people are on that, as long as they set their strategies and their goals and their budgets in terms of what they want to get out of it, people tend to stay on it. And it's got a hugely high renewal rate with us. And every customer really that we have on that is a satisfied customer and can find ways to save and do more than they could with a normal fixed contract.
Okay, so speaking of savings, how can a multi-purchase implementation actually affect a business's bottom line?
Yeah, sure. So it gives you more control over your budget within there. So you can still fix and still work to a budget within that and purely leave your commodity costs, so your energy, to trade and to work off the market. If you think with a traditional fixed contract, you take your price at the time you want your price, and then you lock in, and that's you done for the contract. Yes, it gives budget certainty, but in reality, you've got a 1 in 365 chance of getting the best price you can for that contract. With multi-purchase, it allows you to watch the market. So with your broker, likes of Troo, with the tools that Empower then offer you, you can watch the market, track it, set budgets, trigger points around where you want to be for price, and lock those out for months, years, however you please, and that's how you can make savings, and that's what you're doing in terms of, as long as you stick to your budgets, you stick to your plans, you can't really go wrong in terms of hitting where you need to be and potentially making some real good savings if you get that drop in the market.
So how does that affect the risk mitigation for businesses?
So in terms of risk mitigation, it allows you to control that bottom line with being able to choose what you fix into the contract and what you don't, and how far out you want to trade at a time. As long as you are clear up front and set your budgets and the trigger points within the market that you want to use, then you can make some good savings against that, but always stick within your budgets. So you can mitigate the risk by having a clear strategy up front in terms of how you want to procure your energy throughout the life cycle of your contract.
Okay. What are the potential risks associated with multi-purchase, and how can companies actually mitigate them?
So the key risk with any flexible contract is, as much as you're targeting a downward curve in the market, a market can go up at the same time as well. And it always leaves an element of risk to that. Realistically though, the best way to mitigate that is around having clear strategy. As long as you know what you're looking at in terms of trade, what your budget is, and where your price points that you want to lock in are, then that risk should be mitigated. Ultimately, with a clear strategy, when the price is right, trade, and then that should okay that one for you.
Okay. So are there any common pitfalls that businesses might encounter when implementing multi-purchase strategies?
Yeah, I'd say probably the most common pitfall that we would see as a business on multi-purchase is where people don't have that clear strategy around when to trade and who is trading. So particularly from a customer level up front, it's always good to agree, if you have a broker, are they trading for you or are you doing it yourself? What are your trigger points? What are the price points you want to trade at, and when to do that and for how long for? If you set that out clear at the front, then you should avoid any nasty surprises or missing those price points that you want to hit in the market.
Okay. How does fluctuating energy prices affect the efficiency of multi-purchase strategies?
Yeah, so with the volatility that we've seen in the market over last year and into this year, it's made the market more difficult to navigate than ever before. So obviously markets moving up and down make it more difficult to stick to certain budgets and plans that you've set in place. It has flattened out a lot more this year compared to where we were at last year. However, without a good budget, strategy and plan in place, you're opening yourself to pitfalls within that process. So that's why it's always key and negates a lot of the risk when you set a clear strategy and goal in terms of trades, plan, budget, and stick to that. And as long as you do that, you've got a massive chance of getting success out of that contract.
Okay. So when it comes to the strategy, would you say that there are certain pinpoints that a business needs to look at? What are those pinpoints? Yeah,
definitely. So in the same way you would if you had a fixed contract, you would know what your budget was for energy for that year, and you should always try and stick to that.
Okay.
It's when you're looking at trading and watching a hours market, it's quite easy to get a bit carried away in the potential saving as it keeps falling. But I would advise that when you hit those budget and trigger points within that, then that's the time to lock in and make sure you secure those prices. because like we say, a market can move up as easily as it can come down. So there are great savings to be had in a downward market, and that's where the product really lends itself.
Yeah.
But always have a strategy and always stick to the plan. And that's where Empower and the tools that we offer can come in hand, and obviously with your broker and any trade facilities you have through them.
Moving on to segment 4, implementation and best practices. What are some of the best practices for companies looking to implement multi-purchase?
It's about setting that strategy up front, being realistic around what you want to get, and using the services of your broker like Troo and of Empower to make sure you have everything available that you need to facilitate your contract. Manage those trades, manage the budget, and that'll keep it working there for you.
Okay. How can a business assess whether a multi-purchase product aligns with their energy needs and goals?
That's very much a conversation about understanding your business with your broker, so Troo, and looking at what's available on the market. It's very much a middle market product for someone who is looking to step out of fixed and into that flexible space and take more control of their energy budget. Yeah. So review the product, speak to your broker, get the detail and understand your business. And then if it's the right fit for you, then obviously Empower's here to help.
Can you provide any examples? Say if I was a business looking for multi-purchase, how would I start to go about that? Do you have any examples?
Yeah. So we have a lot of information on our website, videos that explain it. And obviously we sell through our third-party partners like Troo, who are also trained and experts in the product. So it's aligning the understanding of the product and what the benefits are of it versus what your business needs are, and bringing those two together. We offer a lot of other tools available in terms of to support it, around market updates and things like that to get you into that mindset and understand that. But it really is a simple flex product, and that's what it's geared for. Yeah. It's very much geared for customers who are used to a fixed world but want to try something different. So it comes without all the complexity of full flexible deals, and it's designed to be very simplistic in its way. Yeah. So with the help of Empower and the help of your broker, it's made to be a very simple and easy move forward into a flexible world. Would
you say that a simplified, flexible contract is actually more beneficial for a business at the moment in this current climate?
It very much depends on the business needs. If it's a great option if you're a customer of a certain volume who is used to doing fixed but has the interest and the want and that size of portfolio to try something a bit different. Yeah. The idea with it is, in a market like we have just now that's very volatile and can move quite quickly, is to give you the option to be able to purchase your energy when you want to, or where you feel it's the right time in the market for you to do so. So you could set your agreement in place now for 1 year, 3 years, but not have to buy all that energy now like you do in a fixed market. And if that market drops, then great, you can take advantage of that and buy your energy for next year now or next month now at the price that you want that helps your budget. So it's just around about giving more control back to the customer in terms of their energy needs, rather than that upfront fixed and that's your price. So if you have an interest in getting into that space in terms of flexible products, then it's a fantastic product for customers to use.
Okay. So would you say that a business really needs to be aware of what's going on in the industry to actually implement multi-purchase?
Yeah, sure. And it's hard to not know about it in terms of what's been in the news and things, obviously last year and this year. But additionally, that's where your broker comes in play as well, and your energy supplier. Yeah. So we have a wealth of knowledge that we can share with you online through our websites and through our marketing teams, as well as one of the advantages of buying through a broker, that you can use their knowledge rather than you having to be the expert in it. And that's why it is a simplified version of a flexible product. It gives you an intro into the market and starts getting your knowledge in that area and mindset to a degree where potentially if your portfolio is big enough in the future, you might look at full flexible products. Yeah. But as in the interim, it keeps it nice and simple for you. So you can see where prices are at on a daily basis and make those informed decisions yourself versus where your budget and where your plan is set at.
Okay, that's really interesting for our listeners to actually know, like, how to go about wanting, getting in touch with us or getting in touch with yourself to actually start the implementation of multi-purchase. I think it's good to shed a light on all of the actual risks and the advantages of multi-purchase as well. What would you say is the biggest advantage of multi-purchase implementation?
The biggest advantage is that flexible part of your commodity. So it sits between the worlds of fixed and flex to try and give a little bit of a best of both for the customer. You're gaining some of the security of budget in a fixed contract, such as being able to lock out your non-commodity costs and know that they are set in stone within your contract, but allows you to play the trades against the market and watch that fall in market if you can, and all being well, secure your energy at different points in the year that work better on your budget and can increase your savings within that. And ultimately, with the increases in energy costs that we've seen over the last year or two now, it's becoming a bigger part of customers' and businesses' budgets. So it should have more focus, and it should have more attention to where they can save money and pull a bit of that back. So this gives a great option to customers to try and do that a little bit more. And like we say, take more control of your energy budget.
I do think that it is actually really crucial to be completely in control of your energy, because it can actually play a massive part in your budget.
Definitely, yeah. One of the biggest changes we've seen since the energy crisis last year is people who would just come in year after year, lock in for 12 months at their normal April or October renewal, and that would be it. And they've done the same thing year after year. Those spiking energy costs and the changes have really made people focus more on it, because it is a big part of their budget. It is a massive overhead for some companies. And you're talking, from a multi-purchase point of view, anything from half a gig up to 20 gig we can serve on multi-purchase. That's an enormous amount of energy and a massive cost for businesses. So even being able to save 5% on that by trading at a slightly different time for your winter period, it can make a massive difference. It can be a salary or cost saving that they can pass on to orders within big businesses. So that's why it's such a popular product now. And that's why it makes such a big difference to businesses to be able to have that additional option, which at their level of portfolio and consumption previously, they might never have been able to have.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're going to bring in Peter McLeod, who is going to speak about what role a broker plays with multi-purchase during the contract.
So there's a number of elements that a broker can bring in terms of multi-purchase, and I'd break them down into 3 areas. The first one being an evaluation process to make sure that the product is actually fit for purpose for a customer. So a good broker anyway would be talking to a customer about their energy needs, their requirements, how they consume energy, the amount of time they've got to place on looking after their energy requirements. Even more so when it comes to multi-purchase, because unlike a fixed product as an example, where once a contract is done, they can put it away and worry about it in 3 years when it comes to renewal, there's a bigger overhead on the customer when it comes to multi-purchase. And it's important that we understand, and all good brokers understand, whether a customer is capable of managing that. Then we get to the second part, which is the setup. So once we've agreed with the customer that this is the right way to go, then actually getting the whole process set up correctly is really important. Things like, how often are we going to purchase energy? How often would we speak? How often would those purchasing decisions be made? What might the trigger points be? Having all of that set up before the contract actually starts, in my opinion, is really important, because it sets the right expectations throughout the whole contract period. More importantly, when it comes to multi-purchase, things like procurement decisions. So who's going to be involved? How often do we meet? How often do we pass information backwards and forwards to ensure that we're all aligned on how the product's going to work throughout the life cycle of the contract? And that brings me to the third point, which is the ongoing management. So once the contract is up and running, actually keeping the customer informed of any market changes and the specific conditions that might relate to them is really important. Whilst the broker won't make any purchasing decisions, it's important that the broker takes responsibility to make sure the customer is as well informed as possible when they're making those decisions, to make sure they're doing it at the right time. And whilst we can guide and advise them, they are still relying upon us to help them make that decision. Again, it's important that we all understand, broker and customer, how we're going to manage this contract throughout its life cycle. The broker won't make procurement decisions, but it is important that they inform the customer of all the information they need to make sure they make the best informed decision at any point in time.
Now that we're coming to the end of the podcast, George, do you have any final thoughts of businesses considering multi-purchase?
Think of it as an alternative to what you do now. If you're thinking about Flex, definitely look into it. Speak to the guys at Troo, or you can look on our website at empowerbusinesssolutions.com.
In today's discussion, we highlighted the significance that implementing multi-purchase can have on your business. And I'd just like to say, make sure that you assess which multi-purchase product aligns with your energy needs. And you can do that by contacting us via the link in the description below, or you can contact Empower as well. I would just like to say thank you to George for coming on the podcast, and also thank you for Peter for sharing his knowledge and expertise. If you'd like to hear more about multi-purchase products, then please feel free to contact us, and stay tuned for any of our upcoming podcasts. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share and comment below, and also don't forget to hit subscribe and hit that bell as well to stay updated on any of our upcoming episodes.